Welcome to the Michele Roys Show.
Welcome to another episode of the Michele Roys Show. My name is Michele Roys, and I'm so glad to have you here today. In this podcast, we're going to be talking a little bit about what is an invisible illness. So, for anyone out there who struggles with invisible illness, you kind of understand already. So, invisible illness is something that people can struggle will affect their lives, but outwardly others can't see. And that's actually very common and prevalent nowadays. I was doing a little bit of research on this for myself, and I found out that 1 out of 5, pretty much, people in Europe suffer from an invisible illness. And according to the World Health Organization, in the States alone, actually almost 40% of people live with a chronic condition, which is crazy to think about that. It's a huge amount of people. So we're talking about millions. So it's almost 100 million in Europe, and we're only 500 million, give and take. And yeah, this is huge astounding stats. Yet, there's so much discrimination. And not only that, perhaps I think it's a lack of education on people seeing what invisible illness is. So for me, I look perfectly fine, right? So today here I am filming. And if you are watching me on YouTube, I put a little bit of makeup on. If you're listening to me, you'll just try to imagine this. But I wear a smile on my face, yet every day I live with some sort of pain. So it could be the trigeminal neuralgia pain that can come in bursts, or fibromyalgia and Lyme's disease. So it's difficult. And if you're one of those people suffering from an invisible illness, you probably understand how difficult it is for other people to get it, right? So I suppose by talking about it, it's one way we can educate other people. So in this podcast, I want to explore a little bit of tactics that we can do ourselves, those who are living with chronic pain, to help us, and also for those who need to learn a little bit more about what it is. So for me, it's not easy to show up, and I have a smile always plastered on my face. That's just how I was born with. However, that's not the reality of what it is to live with an invisible illness, is it? No. And for you, I'm sure you also have that same struggle when people come to you and saying, "You look fine. Are you sure there's something wrong with you?" So invisible illness can be various forms. So it could be like autoimmune disease. It could be like myself with trigeminal neuralgia, or fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, or various other syndromes that they're out there. But in the end of the day, well, mental health illnesses as well, you can't see that, right? In the end of the day, you as an individual know what you're struggling with. You are the one that's going through it. And oftentimes we feel that when people can't understand us, they can't validate what we're going through. But I just want to say something to you. Listen, first, I'm so sorry you're going through this. And second, know that you're not alone. There are other people that do face the same things. And if we're able to share a little bit more about our stories and get in community with other people that are facing the same thing, we might feel better understood. I know in my own life, sometimes for my children, they live with me, and it's hard for them to understand when I'm in pain. So I've had to put on a conscious effort to have to explain to them, or even to my husband, like, today, I'm sorry, or the hand goes up sometimes because I can't even talk because of my pain levels. Yeah, if you're just looking at me and having this conversation or listening to me, you're probably wondering, is that true? So yeah, that's another thing. In our minds, those of us living with chronic illness or invisible illness as well, we play a lot in our minds. Could this be true? Is this really happening? Yes, it is. It is true for what we're feeling and how we're experiencing it. It is true. And that should be enough to validate us. But it isn't easy when other people can't see it. If I have my leg amputated, or if I have myself in a wheelchair and with a cast on, it's very visible. People might be a little bit kinder to you. I was traveling, and usually when I do travel, I do end up in a wheelchair because I don't have enough energy, and that's just the way my body works. I feel exhausted, and I can literally feel I'm going to crash, as in crash. But because people will judge me from outwardly, I look perfectly fine. And in this particular trip, there was 2 of us that were in a wheelchair. One girl clearly had hurt her foot. She had crutches with her. She had her foot on the cast. And we were both getting on a bus from the tarmac to the airport. And we both were waiting for a wheelchair as we were arriving at the airport. Yet, as soon as I got down from the airplane, almost exhausted, almost not being able to walk, and this happens to me quite often, I get in the plane, I get in the bus, and I'm just looking. Nobody gets up for you. And I feel the same time I have to go and ask for a chair. It's a little bit difficult. As soon as she comes in, two people got out of the chairs that were technically for people with disabilities. And that just made me think again, we need to make ourselves known. We need to be able to express that, but it's so hard because we don't like the judgment. We don't like to deal with what people are going to be saying. I know I don't for myself. Like, yeah, I need to have your seat because, well, I have an illness and oh, well, it's very difficult. So anyhow, I wanted to be able to share with you a few of the things that helps me as I'm navigating this for the last 6 years, and maybe it will help you as well. So I think first thing is being able to have kind of a little elevator pitch for yourself, if you feel comfortable, of what are the things that you are struggling with, so that you can explain in a very succinct way of, well, I have, if let's say fatigue or chronic fatigue, which causes me to feel very run down most of the time, or I need to have extra rest because of my illness. So finding ways to explain will also educate other people because they're not mind readers and they can't feel what we're going through. So that's something really important that for me, I have to still help myself, be kind to myself, and give myself grace on these situations. Like I was saying, for me, it was very difficult, especially in a trip, because you're already exhausted. And then you're confronted with somebody that has the crutches, and then you have yourself who needs the same support in a way, or probably even more, but it's not visible. So this is why we're having this podcast about defining invisible illnesses. And just to go back to the point of what are things that you can do for yourself. So A, definitely try to see if you have an elevator pitch so it makes it easier to explain. Yeah. 2, another suggestion that works for me is being able to tell those that are closer to you if you're not having a good day. Sorry, I can't go to this or I can't attend that event because I'm not having a good day. You don't have to tell everybody because you will have to work on yourself on allowing yourself to have that grace to let other people make up their own minds, and they will. They will judge you. Yes, they will. They will ridicule you. They will say, oh, it's all on your mind, For me and my own journey, it took 4.5 years for the MRI to actually pinpoint the nerve being trapped by the superior artery. And for me, finally, when I had that validation, it's like, you are there. You're the cause of my pain. But that's not something people can see. It's inside the head. It's not inside of your mind. It's not something that you're making it up. So just remember that for yourself. You're going through this, but you are a warrior and you will continue fighting through it. Please don't forget that. And the next thing, so I was trying to say, here you go. I have to get myself back. But try to have a little elevator pitch of the things that you are going through. So if you can explain, if you feel comfortable. And especially if you're new in this journey, what makes you comfortable, what you want to share, and how much you want to share, and with who. You don't have to tell everybody. But that will give you a little bit of space and boundaries as well. And then too, remembering that people will understand things differently because they see things in their own perspective and their own frame of reference. So just offer them that kindness and understanding as well, which is also very, very important. And then lastly, but not least, show compassion to yourself. We're trying to find community right now, and I think it's brilliant to be able to reach out to other people, to listen to their stories so that you can hear also yourself in these stories. And you can see that you're not alone. The other people are also going through different things, and we are going to be able to do better at educating others and having an advocacy group that will help others. If it's 5 people, 1 people out of 5 that are struggling through invisible illness, that's a huge amount of people. So that means that we need to be more concerned for those around us that need to understand this. And it's up to us to share our stories, us who are facing these invisible illnesses right now. And I suppose this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm hoping to share my story to help you overcoming your own difficulties to show that you can continue fighting because you have it within you. You have that strength. You have that resilience. We just need to tap into it. And then little tools along the way that will help you continue gardening and strengthening and keep going, because that's important, isn't it? So listen, if this episode spoke to you, please do share it. Leave me reviews and let me know what you think about it. I would love to hear your story. I'm just starting on this journey. It's all new for me and I'm just putting myself out there. But I would love to hear from you. And if you have anything that you would like to share with me, please do. And I hope to hear from you and I hope to see you soon. Most of all, remember, you're not alone. God is with you. And I trust that you're going to be able to find everything you need for this journey. Just keep going. Keep moving on. God bless. Bye-bye.